Hi guys, welcome back to the Bright Life podcast and my channel. Today we're diving into how to embrace your voice, the voice that only you have. So if you have ever felt a little bit nervous when writing or speaking or hearing your voice back, or you feel like you get in your head, or you wish you sounded more like someone else, these are all very common things that creators face. And I thought it would be fun to dive into a little preview of chapter 5 of my brand new book, Shine Bright. Chapter 5 is all about embracing your voice as the best possible voice that you could use in the world, as the one that someone is waiting on, and as the one that's different from whatever else is out there that other people have already tried, but that's not working because it's not your voice, the way you would say things, the way that you would do it. So I thought I would share just a few little reframes if you do get in your head when it comes to using your voice or hearing how you sound. And these are things that have helped me go from like being afraid to have my first podcast episode out there, to publish a book, to take the leap from corporate and start a blog, things like that. So these have really helped me get out of my head, and I hope that they do the same for you as well. Okay, so the first thing that you can do whenever you feel like you are trying to write, but you're like a little bit too, I don't know, like judging yourself kind of, or like micromanaging your own voice, is I get rid of that voice and I think about how would I say this if I was writing it to my closest, like wittiest friend. Because you know how when it's our people or best friends, we like let down our defenses. Like we use our most natural speaking style. We don't care if we sound a little silly. We use our real sense of humor. And so I picture writing whatever I'm going to say to her. And this is helpful for a few ways. One, it completely disarms you, so you can start to actually sound like yourself again, and therefore people are going to actually connect with you again. And two, it makes your writing actually more readable, or your speaking, or whatever platform you choose to use in the world, because you're going to get out of feeling like you have to sound fancy, or you're going to use a lot of big buzzwords that are popular to your industry, or sometimes you're just too close to your own material and you know too much. So you're meeting someone as if they've studied this topic like you have, or as if they have 10 years of experience in it like you have, instead of where your client or dream person is more likely to be, which is at the starting stage of your journey before you knew all those fancy words. So writing as if you're talking to your best, most relaxed, wittiest friend just allows you to sound more like yourself, and it allows you to actually write in a way that the people you want to help will understand. So that's the first thing that I do. I'll write to my best, most wittiest friend, not actually write to her, but like open up the email or whatever it is as if I'm writing to her. The second thing that I do if I am like having a hard time explaining something is I will open up a voice memo app and I will explain it as if I'm talking to someone. There's something about like a white blinking computer screen or Word doc that I think can be so intimidating and can almost make us forget everything that we knew or that we know. And so I think you can get out of that feeling of writer's block or pressure of just this open canvas by just opening up a voice memo app and using another medium. So I love to just start talking as if I'm talking to someone, and I think about talking to my mom or someone outside the industry, my husband, like making sure that I'm explaining it in a way that they would understand. And you naturally do that as you speak and as you talk to people. You gauge instinctively where they're at and what they're going to understand or not, and you can start to almost anticipate the questions they would have. So a voice memo app can be another way that you just start getting out of your head and actually getting your words somewhere. And then what you can do is you can transcribe that. And you take your voice memo app, you can upload it to ChatGPT or some other free transcription software, and you can then go and polish. And now you have your first draft written that you can then edit and make sound like ready for the world. But that's a great way to get out of your head and instead just be like, what do I know? What can I say? How can I explain this? But I don't have to do it writing or a place that maybe feels a little more intimidating. Let me do it in a way that feels good to me. The next thing that you can do, and this is more of a mindset shift versus a practical one, but I think that it helps a lot. And that is to remember that perfection will never sell or communicate or convince as much as just your most natural, authentic energy will. So I think a lot of new entrepreneurs and new creators, myself, when I was in those stages included, is like you get in your head because you want everything to be perfect. You want it to be the most polished website you've ever written. And so you spend hours working on your about page or your home page or your sales page. You know, you want your first podcast episode to sound really good, and you haven't gotten through the hoops yet when it comes to getting feedback from people or having your voice out there, and it feels very exposing. And so you stay tinkering with it and editing it and re-recording it instead of just getting your message out there. You know, I went through this with my first book where I was so excited to have written a book. It was such a bucket list thing for me for my whole life. But when the time came to publish it, I was so scared of the public feedback on something that felt so vulnerable and so much of my heart that it was hard for me to actually publish it. And I kept editing it and thinking like, well, let me change one more thing. And so what you lose in doing that though is it's just, you almost lose the time that you could be out there talking to your humans, doing sales, like actually getting clients to support and grow your business. And instead you stay held back, tinkering behind the scenes, working on things that no one is really going to see you working on because you're not actually getting out there into the world where people can see you and fall in love with your work and be helped by your message. And so I share an example in my book about this from a money mindset coach. And I was really just encouraged by her because one day as I was browsing her website, I noticed she had some spelling errors, and I wasn't going to say anything, of course, but of course there's someone on the internet who will. And so people had made kind of rude comments like, how could this person actually be a millionaire if she has spelling errors on her website? And instead of backtracking or apologizing or shrinking at all, she wrote, I love that I can be a millionaire who has spelling errors on her website. And it was such a subtle thing, but it really stuck with me as like, what a bold way to approach things, where instead of forcing herself to be perfect or apologizing when she wasn't, she allowed that to be just part of her brand and identity and even success. She loved that she could be successful and still be a human who had mistakes. Now, of course, that's not to say that we shouldn't like proofread our work or do our best. Like, of course we should. But I always just remembered that as such an interesting approach that's available to all of us as well, that you can put out your life's work, you can do your art, you can put out your song, your screenplay, and it might not be perfect, but guess what? You might be able to put out something that's imperfect and still be a successful person anyway, and still put out a movie that changes lives, and still put out a book that resonates with others. I think all of us have the experience, the longer we do creative work, of feeling like our first drafts, our first episodes, our first books, our first chapters are not our best, because we evolve and we grow and we get better. And so you have to kind of make this comfort and peace with your work where whatever you're putting out as you are today is enough, it is good enough. If you have been around this podcast for a while, you've probably heard me mention this one video that you can look up online by Ira Glass on beginning is what I would Google. It's 2 minutes long, and it's been probably one of the top 5 things for sure that I've thought about in creating, because it talks about how all beginners go through this feeling of like their work being not quite exactly what they envision, and that's frustrating because you want it to be better, you want it to be good, you just don't know enough yet to make it as your ideal. And so instead of stopping though, the only way to get through that is to keep doing more work and to become someone who can match their vision with their execution. And so I would offer that to you as well, that like the perfect website, the perfect podcast, audio, number one, like the perfect is a lie. Nothing's ever perfect, because as you grow and get better, you will start to see ways you could improve. So this is just the best you can do today with what you know and have today. And also, I don't know about you, but I've never been sold on a perfect sales page because the spelling is flawless. I've been sold because I feel someone's heart behind it, because I love a product or service, because I believe in it, because I can feel someone on the other side of that social media account connecting with me. And I would wager the same is true for you as well, where you're not listening to this podcast because it has 0 audio errors. Well, I know that's not why you're listening, because I know that it's not like the perfect audio podcast, but you can probably feel my heart through it, right? And you can just feel that I'm doing my best to connect with you and to offer you something that I've learned this week in the hopes that it can help you as well. And so offer yourself that same permission and grace that if what you're putting out there isn't quite perfect, if your voice doesn't sound like the guru that's 10 years ahead of you, who's been doing it 10 times as long, that is okay. Like, that does not mean you shouldn't get started. People will connect more with your heart and your energy than they ever will this illusion of perfection. And they will never find you if you stay behind the scenes, playing around with things, trying to make them perfect because that feels safe, versus imperfectly getting out in the world, sharing your heart and your message with the world, where people can find you. And like I mentioned, fall in love with you and look forward to your message and your content every week. And so this is what I would share with you if you are like dreaming of starting that podcast or that business or offering that workshop, whatever it may be, but you have a voice in your head that's like, I'm not as good as so-and-so, or I, don't do it the way that I want to, or that they do it. Like, your uniqueness is your superpower. It's your magnetism. And so do whatever you can, both practical wise, to get out of your head. Like I mentioned, you can write to your wittiest best friend, and if that helps, you can use a voice memo app. And then also do the mindset work to remember, and mindset work meaning you could do affirmations, you could do journaling, you could just do reminding yourself, you could do listening to this if you need a pep talk, you could read my book, Shine Bright, for more of it. But that being just like, you having the voice that you have and the knowledge that you have today is enough, is the exact thing that's going to help someone at the stage that they're at get the help that they need. You do not have to be the world's foremost expert on a topic to help a lot of people just get to where you are from where you were. If you can help them with that, if you're a few steps ahead, you can make a massive difference for someone. And the next expert will be available when they're at their next stage too. So I really offer you all these ideas around your voice being worthy as you are, as it being the thing that will and can make a difference for someone as you are today. And the only thing that's missing is you getting out there and you putting in the reps. And like that Ira Glass video, is eventually then your execution will be able to match your vision. We all have to go through the reps and the exercises to get there. It's just like building a muscle at the gym. There's no ultimate shortcut. So it's both, frustrating, but also encouraging. And life is about the journey, like, not to be cheesy or anything, but I think that's been a big learning for me this year, is like, it's not really about where you want to go. Where you want to go is the thing that God or life or the universe is putting in your path and drawing you towards, because you're going to have to become a different person in order to get and achieve that thing. And who you have to become and what you have to work through, is the point, is the journey. So that's this week's message. If this resonates, definitely check out my book, Shine Bright, as I mentioned. There's a whole chapter called Embracing Your Voice. That's about how to use your unique voice and feel confident in that, and why not just feel confident, but know that it's like your superpower. So you can find this on Amazon or on Audible, where I narrate, so you can hear directly from me as I would read it, and as I wrote it in my head. So thank you again. And if this resonates, leave a comment, let me know what resonates. And I will be sure to be back next week with another sneak preview of the next chapter.